In the first decades of the 21st century, martial culture survives in very different states in China and Italy. In China, martial arts remain a vibrant part of the country's cultural heritage and one of its most recognizable cultural symbols. Beneath the surface, however, martial arts development is still at a crossroads, neither fully a combat art nor modern sport. In addition, the historical roots of Chinese martial arts are almost completely neglected. One of the few people dedicated to reviving Chinese fencing is Professor Ma Lianzhen, who is third-generation master of Tongbei martial studies, the president of International Guoshu Association, and the headmaster of Jiangong Academy. Since the beginning of the 20th century, his family has been deeply involved in the modernization of Chinese martial arts, as well as the preservation of its historical legacy. His grandfather Ma Fengzhu, the founder of Master Tongbei, played a pivotal role in the transmission of a new comprehensive Chinese martial arts system, known as Guoshu, in northwest China during the Republic period.
马式通背是一个理念，这个理念的形成呢，与所谓明清以降的宋明理学的新的转型有很深的关联。他开始越来越多的关注实践，越来越多的希望将儒家文化的思想与社会改造相结合。那么马式通背武学实际上就是在武艺方面对这种思想的延续和贯彻。但是我们非常有幸地参与了中国武术近代发展的几乎所有的重大活动，包括中华武术会的组建，包括中央国术馆的组建，包括国术运动的改良，甚至包括在抗日战争中创编与外敌入侵相要使用的技术动作等等。那么新中国建设以后，竞技武术的建设，包括我们旧的武术传统的重建，短兵的重新的发展，都和我们这个家族多多少少有一些关联。
Ma Lianzhen's father, Professor Ma Mingda, is the most authoritative scholar for Chinese martial studies. He believes that the lack of a proper competition system is a significant problem to Chinese martial arts, as its techniques become increasingly decorative, its purpose unclear.
传统武术的价值在当今这个社会已经发生了巨大的变化。随着冷兵器时代的结束，或者说军旅武艺向民间武艺过渡的过程中，武的内容的不断弱化，实际上传统自身已经消弭殆尽。中国剑术现在正处于一个新时代的转型期和启蒙期。为什么说是转型期呢？中国的武术人，特别是新生代的武术人，这批人很棒，他们正在尝试将旧的传统向新的竞技做努力的转型和尝试。我们在重新考虑中国剑术发展的时候，实际上是延续了中国武艺发展的一个基本脉络，是通过交流来完成。那么这个交流必须是从内对自己的文化产生共鸣和认知，去判断，去创作，去试验，但同时要努力地借鉴许多其他人的技术，包括日本人的技术、韩国人的技术、欧洲人的技术，将好的内容都引进进来进行交流，在不断的相互作用中来重塑中国所谓的剑术。
Since ancient times, martial training has been considered one of the twin pillars of Chinese civilization. Martial arts was a way to cultivate a person's virtues, in particular humility, courage, and dedication, which are essential attributes for positive social action. From the 1950s, Chinese martial arts went in a different direction. It became mainly a form of performance and entertainment, while competitive elements such as Chinese fencing were forgotten.
使传统武术逐渐式微的原因很复杂，但究其终点，实际上是传统武术文化自身的不断的退化，使它变得式微。就它的这种模式，它的传承的思路与方法，以及它的训练体系的不进步，已经使它不再适应当下社会的基本需要了。中国武术的复兴的核心点，我个人认为是研究。 而且这个研究最重要的点在当下应该是文献类型的研究因为中国是全世界最大的文献国，我们有极为丰富的文献基础。如果对我们过去人的武艺文化没有逐字逐句的了解，你是没有可能性建构起来一个相对完整的中国古代武艺观的，也就无从谈起对所谓武艺传统的延续。那么所以如果从这个角度来看，研究自身就是复兴中国武术。
On the other side of the Eurasian continent, my dear friend Maestro Roberto Gotti is also in the process of reviving Italy's historical fencing and martial arts. While this tradition is relatively obscure today, Italy was one of the most important centers of martial culture in the ancient and medieval world. Much of this knowledge has been preserved through historical martial arts treatises, of which Roberto is a major collector.
I devote myself completely to the words written in old books. This is my lucky and the lucky of my friends that they are studying together with me. We are devoted to show these words in action. Martial art that I don't consider historic, that they have the root in the history. But as we say, the future is in front. So the martial art, once again, can give you the new level. If you look at the frontispiece of my master, there is an altar in which he is writing protection circle with magic letters. And in this altar is doing his daily life. Working, studying, teaching, practicing martial art, doing alchemy. In my life, I devote myself to something giant, like the family, the faith, the school, the brothers. All the rest is a tool.
Roberto has dedicated 25 years of his life to the study of European martial arts, which started with a book, an impassioned dedication. He is now at the forefront of historical Italian martial arts. He runs an experimental martial arts research center called Garantings. His school, Opera Nova, is named after an important martial arts treatise of the Renaissance period.
Opera Nova is the name of a book written in 1536 by a master called Achille Marozzo. He is the master from which I receive most of my knowledge, but this knowledge I was able to refine inside the old Italian tradition from the 15th century till the middle of the 16th century. So today we don't study one book, we study the complete literature. You cannot understand the martial art if you don't read the books.
Brescia is in northern Italy, situated at the foot of the Alps. Its old town contains some of the best preserved Roman buildings in northern Italy. The monumental archaeological area has become a UNESCO World Heritage Site.
In each town in Italy you see incredible monuments of all these ages. You can touch prehistory. It's not hidden behind the glass. You can touch history. For us, to find a prehistorical object or site, a Roman object or site, medieval object or site, is not so difficult. Italy is like a giant container of history. Historical martial art is a very rich tool because history is inside. So sport is important because you can be better using a sport. Sport can help you to become a better person if you use the tool in the right way. Historical martial art or a martial art with the roots in the history is even much more useful as a tool because in the same time that you learn body mechanics and posture and cutting and protecting, you are also learning art, you are learning history.
The two masters are cut from the same cloth. They are both custodians of historical martial arts and are converging on a single mission to maintain the traditions for a new generation.
我当时创立建功书院的初衷，实际上 是遵循父命，就是我爸爸希望我这样子来做。承建一个书院一直是通贝最大的梦想。我的祖父曾经尝试要成立一个通贝书院但是旧社会没有那么好的条件为他去创造这样的一个条件。那么到了当下，天时地利人和，我们有了专门的这样的一个机会和场地，以及得到了方方面面的热心人的支持，使我们建立了这样的一个建功书院。我们是希望将我们心目中的武术，我们心目中的国术，我们心目中的中国古代的武艺传统，以符合当下年轻人的形式传播给大家的。那么这个应该是建立建功书院最大的初衷。
Teaching means to take out the best part of who is in front of you. Teaching means to help somebody else, not only to take out his best performance, but to take out his best attitude. In a certain sense, I was the discoverer and sometimes the creator of my heroes. This is teaching for me.
I met Roberto at the end of 2015. I was very lucky because I was selected for a ceremony in which I had to show some gesture on a set. In that occasion, Roberto teach some of his movement, some of his art to me. So I understand at the time that this was my first time I actually see an art and not just a collection of techniques. So I understand that that was something I was truly interested in. So I decided to follow him, and that was the beginning of our relationship, and that later it became more and more closer, and now I'm proud to be part of his school.
I meet Roberto in the first time on a tournament, historical fencing tournament. I meet him and Jacopo for the first time, and I'm starting to see the movement of Roberto, the philosophy of Roberto.
The sword is only a tool. The martial art is only a way to train our spirit, to train our soul. By doing that, we improve ourselves, not only in the skill to protect, to defend, to attack, but mainly we improve ourselves and we become better people. And then, at a certain point, you find yourself seated at the table, laughing with incredible people.
The renaissance of historical martial arts has been easier in Europe, and in particular Italy. This heritage is well documented in books and manuscripts, while antique arms and armor provide a material basis for understanding and reconstructing their use. China, on the other hand, despite having one of the longest and most important written traditions in the world, has turned its back on its historical martial arts.
知识体系的传承必须要有精神层面的、制度层面的跟物质层面的3个方面的保障。在精神层面呢，我们某些理念可以进行坚守，但是在制度层面，相应的机构甚至国家必须给它对应的支持。这个新中国是做得非常好的。中国有史以来对武术保护的力度最大的是当代。那么在物质层面呢，我想主要分成3个方面来看待。首先是对我们相关的文献一定要有非常全面的了解和整理。第二是要对武艺这样一个相对具体的文化形式所涉及到的器具，包括它的兵器也好，它的甲胄也好，它的基础的练习的设施也好，这些东西要进行全面的挖整和保存。那么在这样的方方面面的内容的相互交织构成之下，是可以将这个武艺系统、这个文化，甚至它所传承下来的动态的这种生存模式一路传承下去。
On the surface, Chinese martial arts is a thriving global phenomenon, but in reality, its development has been driven by popular culture, television and film, while martial arts as a cultural form has yet to find its footing in contemporary society.
中国现代年轻人和以往的任何一代都不同，这一代的年轻人的眼光更广，要求更高，知识也更丰富， 现在国内武术的套路形式已经不能满足他们。如果一直保持这种原有的武术模式，传统武术可能会被逐渐淘汰。所以我们应该构建更加科学、更加合理的武术模式。
How can I pass the tradition to the next generation? By not imposing. Who want it will take it. They take it. I don't pass. This is an old attitude of my country. My father did not pass me his job. I have to take it. A smith will never teach you. You have to steal. So by showing something good, the others, they will want the same good. And who is more fast, more intelligent, more skillful, he will take it.
We lost the road, the principal road of the teachings, but it's not simply to take this road and remake this road. But I think this road is possible to rebuilding thanks to Roberto and my brother Jacopo and all of my friends in Opera Nova school.
The way to make HIMA and Italian martial art popular is to continue to push in every direction possible. So of course sport is one direction, but also the culture, the museum, the study of the treatises, the swords, so collection, so every possible way to let people know that there was an art. It was complicated, it was really elaborate also.
Two students, they come from China, from Lianzhen and Mingdal school, and it was a great honor for us. They performed very well, and they trained with us and with the guys for 20 days before they went to the competition. And this is, I think, our future. Sharing knowledge, sharing information.
为什么要送我的弟子去意大利学习意大利的剑术？为了更好的发扬通背。那么穆罕默德圣人曾经在很重要的一个地方写过这样的一句话，对我一生的印象很大。他写道：“知识就算是远在中国，也要把它取回来。”那么我想，一个人对真理的追求，对知识的追求，不应该受到国界、民族、信仰等等各式方面的限制。只要你觉得是好的，你就应该不耻下问，应该用一个非常积极的态度去学习。这是强大自身和丰富自我最直接的办法，这也是通背的精神嘛。
In 2019, Historical European Martial Arts, or HIMA, was presented in the cultural program of the Minsk European Games.
For the first time in the history, the European martial art, historical fencing, call it as you want, they were on such a level of sport. That was European Olympic Games, the second European Olympic Games built by the Olympic Committees of Europe, and to be allowed to be guest in the cultural program with all our activities, that was the biggest achievement for our movement till today.
就我们派弟子去意大利学习，我非常感恩他们，给我们提供了最好的环境，不遗余力、倾囊而出，将人家的东西教授给我们。我觉得这为我们通背进行武艺文化的交流提供了一次千载难逢的机会。那么我想，在整个中国武术界，我们应该是独一份的拥有这样的一个特权，我自己觉得非常的幸运。那么在经过短暂的学习以后，这两个孩子到了明斯克去参加比赛，尽管比赛成绩并不是非常的如人意，但是这个经历呢，实际上赋予我们面对面的与世界最好的海马选手进行交流和观察的这样的一次机会。我一直都没有说过我去那个比赛的实际的心情啊。我实际上去的时候，我看到那么多的世界各地的运动员在进行高强度的海马对抗的时候， 我多少是有点失落的，就是我觉得就是中国武术距离他们的实际距离之间还是比较大的啊。那么当然这种失落某种意义来讲，迅速就可以转化成为所谓的文化动力吧，至少对于我们这种人来说啊，也坚定了我觉得下一步通背也要做钢剑对抗，也要从欧剑中吸取更强的活力来做大自己，做强自己的这样的一些思路。那么所以这个活动某种意义上来讲是一个里程碑，就如我刚才说的，它将建立起以后我们与欧洲武艺交流的常态化我很期待它的未来。
Martial art today is relevant and important because it's not only a sport, but is in the same time a sport, a vehicle of culture. You have tournaments in which you can express your sport attitude. You have performances and demonstration, artistic, beautiful. You have possibility to research, to study. I think that martial art today is an incredible tool to create or to recreate as much as possible our society and make it less individualistic.
In 2019, Roberto, Lianzhen, and myself, and our organizations of Pranova, Mas Tongbai, and International Guoshu Association signed an agreement for strategic collaboration. This exhibition, Way of the Sword, Warrior Traditions in China and Italy, is one of the first research outcomes that came out of this partnership.
On this note, perhaps I can just slightly steer the conversation away, with your permission, to the sword, because we've been talking a lot about the book, we've been talking philosophically, but why is the sword relevant today? Why are we talking about fencing?
Is at the beginning, swords or martial arts is only the result of cultural exchange. Then in ancient society, it became a power. Then from power to become the capacity to rule somebody, to become somebody. Then when this kind of code weapons become history, they only remain as dignity in certain period of history. But if you understand the very core of this dignity, then you can jump out from the ancient memory. It will suddenly become a tool of exchange. And if you use this tool, you can cut off all differences. Anything which we call the European martial arts, Asian martial arts, or this martial arts, that martial arts is not important at all.
You know, Hing and Omar, you asked me what is a sword. It was the main tool before the bronze and the copper dagger, then the bronze sword, then the firearms arrive, so the sword evolved. What is the sword? Is a piece of meat. The sword is the last piece of our body if we reach a good level. My masters, they teach to feel through the blade inside the body and put my energy inside the blade. And because it's a piece of meat, is also the tool with which in the future we will shake our hands. It will be the expression of our body and the tool with which we receive the expression of the other body.
I would like to thank both speakers. I thank my dear friends and brothers, Lianzhen and Roberto Gotti. Thank you, gentlemen, and thank you.
We are on a path of convergence. By working together, we believe we will not only learn from one another, but building on a common foundation of shared values and vision for martial culture, this could be a new beginning to reclaim a common heritage for humanity.
我希望更多的年轻人可以从科学的角度去看待中国武术。我希望有更多的中国传统武术人或者武术群体中的健壮者、有运动能力的人，可以投身到中国武术的改良与发展中来，让身体技艺回归中国武术，让中国武术走向世界，真正开启新时代的武艺交流。 这是我对未来最大的希望。
To speak about a rebirth, we must consider a death. And the Italian martial art never die. The knife remain, the stick remain, the saber remain. I think I like to see it different. There was an incredibly big martial art patrimony in the past that became thin, but still survive, and now is becoming bigger again. We will implement our knowledge, we will implement our brotherhood, and we will give it as a gift to the future generations. This is my dream.